This video is presented by the EA Creator Network on an early access build of College Football 26, so some things are subject to change. Meet Christian Blaze, a senior running back from Whitmer High School in Toledo, Ohio. A 2-star recruit with a chip on his shoulder. Christian is the hardest worker in any room he steps into. The scouts have overlooked him, citing a lack of game-breaking speed or polished finesse. With just 5 games left in his senior year, Christian is determined to rewrite his story, boost his star rating, and earn a shot at Division I football. This is his road to glory. The stage is set. Franklin High School, one of Ohio's elite programs, rolls into town with a defense anchored by a 4-star linebacker committed to Michigan. Scouts fill the stands, their clipboards ready, eyes locked on the field. For Christian Blaze, this is his chance to go out there and accomplish the 8 goals he has set out to achieve tonight. Early in the game, he hauls in a pass out of the backfield, finding open field ahead. A defender closes in, but Christian unleashes a punishing stiff arm, sending the would-be tackler to the turf, accomplishing one of the goals he had in mind at the start of this game. Play after play, Christian grinds, showcasing his relentless work ethic and raw power. Facing off against his rival, Christian refuses to back down. A quick hesitation before running up the middle leaves the linebacker on a highlight reel. By the final whistle, Christian did what he set out to do, meeting almost every goal. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to score a rushing touchdown. Within 48 hours, the offers start rolling in. Akron, Ohio, Buffalo, and New Mexico State see what the scouts missed. Christian Blaze is no longer invisible and has put together his top 10 college choices. With 4 games left in his senior season, Christian's mission is clear. Keep adding to his highlight tape, keep climbing the recruiting rankings, and turn those D1 offers into bigger opportunities. Each game is a chance to showcase his heart, strength, and determination. Will he climb the recruiting ranks? Can he sway bigger programs like Ohio State to take a chance on him? For now, he faces Westerville High School, a tough opponent with a stingy defense. Coach Smith from the Ohio Bobcats throws down a challenge. Score a rushing touchdown to boost Christian's scholarship offer from Ohio. Christian sets 6 additional personal goals, determined to prove he's more than a grinder with no flash. In the second quarter, the moment arrives. Christian takes a pitch to the left. Following his blockers, he hits the sideline with a burst of speed, jukes a defender into next week, and shrugs off a tackle with raw power. Christian blazes downfield for a long touchdown run. The crowd loses it, and Coach Smith's challenge is checked off. Whitmer secure the win, and Christian crushes most of his self-set goals. His recruiting stock skyrockets, teetering on the edge of a 3-star status. Within days, the D1 offers pour in from Boston College, Duke, Iowa State, and Stanford. The kid from Toledo is turning heads. The road isn't always smooth for Christian Blaze. Game 3 against Clayton starts rough. Christian presses too hard, trying to do too much, and his early carries are stuffed. But with Whitmer trailing by 6 and just 50 seconds left, Christian digs deep. On a critical drive, he finds a seam, powers through contact, and bulls his way into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Redemption secured, Whitmer escapes with the victory. Game 4 against Lewis Center is a different story. Christian is a man possessed. From the opening snap, he dominates, gashing the defense with precise cuts and relentless effort. Every goal he set for himself, crushed. It's his best performance yet, a masterclass in vision, power, and heart. Scouts can't look away. After these 2 games, Christian's stock explodes. He's now a 3-star running back prospect with whispers of 4 or even 5-star potential if he shines on senior night. Big 10 powerhouses Iowa and Nebraska send full scholarship offers. Christian, who once dreamed of just one D1 offer, now has a stack to choose from. He adjusts his top 10 schools, adding Notre Dame as a long shot, but the Fighting Irish shut him down, saying running back isn't a priority. Christian takes it in stride. There's still 1 game left to change minds. Senior night at Whitmer High School is Christian Blaze's final chance to show the nation he's a 5-star talent. Facing Perry High School, he sets the bar sky high, multiple rushing touchdowns, and a team victory. The atmosphere is electric, with scouts, family, and fans packing the stands. Christian comes out swinging. On the opening drive, he takes an inside handoff, reads the defense, and breaks outside. 2 defenders can't catch up, and a third is left flat-footed as Christian turns on the jets. Touchdown! A blazing run that showcases his improved speed and vision, honed through countless hours in the practice facility. Christian doesn't stop. Drive after drive, he carves up Perry's defense, piling up touchdowns with a mix of power and finesse. With under a minute left, Whitmer trails by 6. The pressure is on. Coach calls a pitch left to Christian, who bursts outside but meets a wall of defenders. Time ticks down, and on the very next play, a design run up the gut, Christian sees a defender shoot through the gap. He plants, cuts outside, Christian sprints into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Whitmer erupts, and Christian's masterful performance seals his high school legacy. Scouts are floored. Christian Blaze is now a 5-star recruit, ranked the 30th best player in the nation. Offers flood in from Ohio State, Penn State, and shockingly, Notre Dame, who reversed their stance after witnessing his dominance. The kid who was once overlooked is now a national name, but his journey is only beginning. Decision day arrives, and Christian Blaze sits at a table mulling over his D1 offers. He's narrowed it down to 3 schools, weighing playing time, coaching fit, and competition: Nebraska, Tennessee, and Virginia Tech. The gym is packed with family, friends, and teammates, all buzzing with anticipation. Christian milks the moment, teasing the crowd. He picks up the Tennessee hat, then tosses it aside with a grin. It's down to Nebraska and Virginia Tech. The room holds its breath. This is the moment Christian dreamed of as a kid in Toledo, the chance to play D1 football. With a deep breath, he grabs the Nebraska hat and pulls it on. The crowd explodes, and Christian's road to glory takes its next step to Lincoln, Nebraska. After committing to Nebraska, Christian Blaze doesn't rest on his 5-star laurels. Back in Toledo, he hits the gym with a vengeance, packing on 10 pounds of muscle while sharpening his quickness, elusiveness, and football IQ. The kid who was once overlooked is now a chiseled, determined freshman ready to make his mark in Lincoln. Christian arrives at Nebraska eager to dominate, but reality hits hard. He's slotted as the number 3 running back behind senior superstar Emmett Johnson and sophomore Quinton Ives. The competition at this level is a wake-up call, faster, stronger, and more intense than anything he faced at Whitmer High School. At his first practice, Christian struggles to keep up, misreading blocks and getting stuffed in drills. But true to form, he keeps his head down, grinds through every rep, and flashes glimpses of his high school brilliance. Coaches, including head coach Matt Rule, notice his potential. Off the field, Christian faces the demands of being a student athlete. Falling behind in classes can mean suspension or worse, so he dives into studying, builds leadership among teammates, manages his health, attends training sessions, and even starts growing his personal brand. It's a balancing act, but Christian's work ethic shines through. Coach Rule, impressed by Christian's hustle, issues a challenge for the number 2 running back spot. Christian and Quinton Ives go head-to-head in a series of practice drills. Christian channels his inner high school grit, excelling in all 3 drills with sharp cuts, power, and vision. Coach Rule names him the backup running back behind Emmett Johnson. The season opener against the Ohio Bobcats is a surreal moment for Christian. Walking out of the tunnel, the roar of Memorial Stadium's crowd hits him like a tidal wave. It's unlike anything he's ever experienced. But as the game unfolds, Christian watches from the sideline, with Emmett Johnson and Quinton Ives taking most of the snaps. Disappointment creeps in, but he stays ready, cheering his teammates on. Late in the 4th quarter, with Nebraska comfortably ahead, Christian gets his shot. On his first college touch, he takes a pitch right, cuts back inside, and bounces off 2 defenders for a tough 9-yard gain. The crowd roars, and Christian feels the spark. He finishes the game with 5 carries for 25 yards. A modest debut, but a taste of D1 football. Nebraska cruises to victory, and Christian's hunger grows. Against Bowling Green, Christian doesn't see the field until the 3rd quarter. When he does, he makes it count. On his first carry, he flashes his improved speed, getting to the outside with great blocking and blowing past defenders. A failed juke reminds him of D1's steep learning curve, but on the next play, stays patient behind his blocks and races to the end zone for his first ever college touchdown. The sideline erupts and Christian's confidence surges. With Nebraska in control, Coach Rule keeps Christian in. He delivers again, taking another pitch and weaving through the defenders for his 2nd touchdown of the game. Christian finishes with 38 yards and 2 touchdowns on limited carries, helping Nebraska dominate Bowling Green. The performance sparks chatter. Could Christian challenge Emmett Johnson for the starting role? Christian's momentum hits a snag. After the Bowling Green game, a classmate invites him to a party. Tempted, Christian skips a lab, aces a vibe check with teammates, but misses a pop quiz, tanking his GPA. And Coach Rule isn't pleased. Against a weak FCS Midwest team in Game 3, Christian's punishment is clear: no carries. He's relegated to blocking duties, frustrated and embarrassed. The next few weeks, Rutgers in Week 4 and a blowout loss to Oregon in Week 6, are more of the same. Limited touches, mostly blocking, and a bruised ego. Christian knows he's in the doghouse. Determined to rebound, Christian buckles down. He studies hard, attends every class, and gives 110% in practice. Slowly, he starts to earn Coach Rule's trust back, but carries remain scarce. The tide turns against Illinois. With the stadium rocking, Christian checks in during the 2nd quarter on a crucial 3rd down. He takes a pitch, finds a wide open edge, and uses his speed to blaze past defenders. A key block springs him, and Christian goes untouched for a touchdown. Later in the first half, he adds a receiving touchdown, hauling in a pass and powering into the end zone. Nebraska takes down Illinois, and Christian's stat sheet shines. His teammates mob him, and the fans chant his name. Off the field, Christian locks in. He aces his midterms, earning straight A's, and continues to grind in practice. He's not the starter yet, but he's proving he belongs. Nebraska pulls off a stunning upset over Ohio State in Week 8, followed by a nail-biter against Indiana in Week 9. Christian's touches are limited, but he makes them count, scoring a rushing touchdown and excelling as a blocker when called upon. His role is growing, and his teammates respect his unselfish attitude. At Michigan State Stadium, Christian gets his biggest opportunity yet. Emmett Johnson cramps up early, thrusting Christian into significant playing time. The Spartan defense is formidable, and Christian struggles initially, getting stuffed on early carries. But as the game wears on, he finds his rhythm. On a pivotal play, he takes a pitch, uses his speed to get outside, cuts back inside to fool a defender, and jukes another for a long first down run. Christian is everywhere in the first half, juking, spinning, and powering through tackles. Even as the game gets out of hand in Nebraska's favor, he keeps grinding, finishing with 10 carries for 96 yards, his best college performance yet. Nebraska crushes Michigan State, and Christian's breakout game earns him respect. Off the field, he lands his first NIL deal with Ricky Slick's Barbershop, a modest but meaningful deal that scores free haircuts for his teammates and boosts his cred. Nebraska catches fire, defeating Washington, Maryland, and Iowa to finish the regular season 11-1, good for second in the Big Ten. Emmett Johnson takes most of the carries, but Christian adds to his highlight reel, including a clutch performance in the Iowa game that earns Nebraska the Heroes Trophy. Christian proudly adds it to his trophy room, his first taste of college hardware. In the Big Ten championship game against UCLA, Christian hopes to shine, but Coach Rule's game plan leans heavily on Emmett Johnson. Christian sees minimal action, and UCLA escapes with a heartbreaking 3-point win. Frustrated but motivated, Christian tackles the loss into practice. Coach Rule, seeing his fire, gives him a shot to compete for the starting role. In the series of drills, Christian outsigns Emmett Johnson, winning 2 of 3 and earning the starting running back position for the postseason. Christian's freshman campaign earns him the Freshman All-Big Ten Award with 69 carries for 412 rushing yards and multiple touchdowns. Not bad for a former 2-star recruit. Nebraska faces Ohio State in the college football playoff quarterfinals, and Christian, now the starter, is ready for the spotlight. On the opening drive, he takes a handoff right, powers through contact, and picks up a big first down. Nebraska feeds him relentlessly, but Ohio State's defense hits hard, and the physical toll mounts. By halftime, Christian has 18 carries for 90 yards, but he's battered. Ohio State takes the lead, and Christian's body is slowing down. Coach Rule pulls him in the second half to avoid a major injury, a decision that really pays off. Nebraska rallies, edging out the Buckeyes by 1 point in a thrilling upset. The Rose Bowl pits Nebraska against a powerhouse Georgia team. A win could send Christian to the national championship, but Georgia's defense is a brick wall. Christian can't find any room, managing just 11 carries for 34 yards before the big hits force him to the sideline. Georgia jumps to a 14-point lead and cruises to victory, moving on to defeat Tennessee in the national championship. Critics begin questioning Christian's durability, pointing to his limited carries and inability to stay healthy in big games. The heartbreaking Rose Bowl loss lingers. Christian hits the gym, doubling down on his quickness, power, elusiveness, and football IQ. But as his sophomore year looms, a tough decision has to be made. Does he stay at Nebraska, where he's fought his way to the starting role, but faces questions about his durability? Or does he enter the transfer portal for a fresh start, proving he can stay healthy and dominate elsewhere? The loss to Georgia stings, and Christian wants nothing more to lead Nebraska to a championship. After weighing his options, he makes his decision. He's staying a Cornhusker. Christian Blaze is all in, ready to overcome the heartbreak and chase a title in Lincoln. Christian Blaze returns to Nebraska for his sophomore season, joined by his best friend, quarterback Dylan Raiola, and most of the squad. He signs a joint NIL deal with TGF Fitness for their TGF Power Bands, gearing up with Dylan for a monster year. Christian sets 2 bold goals: lead Nebraska to a national championship and win the Heisman Trophy. Hours in the gym sharpen his quickness, elusiveness, and durability while he balances coursework and his growing brand. The former 2-star recruit from Toledo is ready to dominate. Christian Blaze explodes onto the scene as Nebraska's starting running back. Against Northern Illinois, he racks up 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a blazing pitch play that pumped up the crowd and a catching pass from his QB and cutting up the middle to erase a 10-point deficit. Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week honors to follow. Miami of Ohio falls 45-23 as Christian scores a receiving touchdown and a 32-yard rushing touchdown, complementing Dylan Raiola's 4 passing touchdowns. Against FCS Midwest, he bulldozes for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 58-7 rout. Christian Blaze is a man possessed, lighting up defenses and climbing the Heisman watch. This is his year. A bye week gives Christian time to focus on recovery and training, honing his durability for the grueling season ahead. In a heated rivalry game at Wisconsin, Christian silences the crowd early with a speed option touchdown to the right. On the next drive, he powers up the middle for another score, looking like a superstar. By halftime, he's got 175 rushing yards, but a risky hurdle leads to a fumble, luckily out of bounds. He seals the game with a 31-yard touchdown run, following his blockers into daylight. Nebraska cruises 48-18, claiming the Freedom Trophy, and Christian's Heisman buzz grows louder. Facing their first tough opponent, Ohio State, in a rain-soaked game, Christian shoulders a heavy load. Carry after carry, he grinds out tough yards, punching in a rushing touchdown in the first half. But the wet conditions and relentless carries sap his speed and elusiveness. Despite a strong stat line, Ohio State's defense proves too much, and Nebraska falls by 4 points. Post-game, critics revive questions about Christian's durability against elite teams, lighting a fire under him. Over the next week, Christian pours everything into recovery and durability training, determined to prove his doubters wrong. But in his focus on physical prep, he neglects his studies. Against Purdue in Week 7, Christian erupts for the best game yet, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 75-yard sprint off a pitch where he outruns the defense and a second score showcasing his elite speed. The crowd chants his name as Nebraska rolls, but off the field, exam results hit hard, all C's. His GPA is still above the suspension threshold, but he's on thin ice. One more academic slip could see him benched. Nebraska stays hot, defeating number 19 Washington, with Christian having 24 carries and 159 yards. Next was Minnesota, 17 carries and 111 yards, and then Rutgers, 24 carries for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. But against Northwestern, Christian exits early with nagging injuries, managing only 13 carries for 57 yards. His limited output hurts his Heisman chances, and the wear and tear of the season is taking a toll. Nebraska sits at 9-1, but Christian's body is feeling the grind of D1 football. Facing a powerhouse Oregon Ducks team, Christian, not 100%, answers the call. He takes hit after hit, grinding out 113 yards and a touchdown, but Oregon's offense overwhelms Nebraska, handing them their second loss. Christian's resilience shines, but his body is battered. With the academic year closing and a playoff berth on the line, Christian takes on extra credit to boost his GPA, ensuring eligibility. The balance between football and academics is a grind, but he's determined to stay on the field. In a must-win game against Iowa for a playoff spot, Christian comes out blazing, shredding the defense in the first quarter. But after too many hits, Coach Rule pulls him to protect his health. Visibly frustrated, Christian cheers from the sidelines as Nebraska scores in overtime to secure a 10-2 record and a playoff berth. Questions linger. Can Christian stay healthy for the postseason? Working with team doctors, Christian rehabs nagging injuries, getting as close to 100% as possible. Despite a stellar season, he loses the Heisman to Tennessee's Kenny McIntyre, a gut punch to his goals. But he does earn the Doak Walker Award as the nation's best running back, adding another trophy to his room and fueling his playoff fire. Christian enters the playoffs with a chip on his shoulder, ready to silence the doubters. Against Tulane, he explodes, punching in a touchdown in the second quarter and racking up 204 yards and 2 touchdowns on 30 carries. Nebraska dominates, and Christian's performance sends a message: he's built for the big stage. Facing the top-ranked Miami Hurricanes, Christian sets the tone early with a rushing touchdown off a speed option. Nebraska leans on him to move the chains, and a perfectly timed block by Christian springs Dylan Raiola for a touchdown pass, giving Nebraska a 17-3 lead. Miami fights back, scoring 2 unanswered touchdowns, but Christian delivers a massive first down with under 2 minutes left, sealing a stunning upset. Nebraska advances to the semifinals, and Christian's clutch performance solidifies his star status. Haunted by last year's Rose Bowl loss to Georgia, Christian is out for revenge. He takes the handoff, cuts inside, bounces off 2 tackles, and races to the end zone for a touchdown. With 3 seconds left in the half, he takes a pitch right, cuts back, and bowls his way in for another score, giving Nebraska the lead. In the third quarter, Christian adds a touchdown, extending the lead to 14. Georgia can't respond. Christian's get back is complete. After a grueling season, Christian Blaze and the Nebraska Cornhuskers face Penn State for the 2027 National Championship. The game is a slugfest, tied at 3 with 30 seconds left in the second quarter. Nebraska hands off to Christian, who dives into the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown. Penn State answers in the third quarter, but Christian won't be denied. He takes a pitch, stays behind his blockers, breaks a tackle, and scores for 25 yards out. With a 6-point lead late, Nebraska leans on Christian to close it out. He grinds out a first down, and weaves through defenders on 2nd and 11 for another, sealing the game. 1 kneel later, it's over. Nebraska are national champions. Coach Rule hoists the trophy, and Christian beams in the team photo, confetti raining down, his 2,634-yard season etched in history as a new NCAA record. As the celebration fades, Christian says goodbye to Dylan Raiola, who's NFL bound. With the national championship and a record-breaking 2,634 yards, Christian has conquered one goal, but the Heisman remains elusive. Doubters still question his durability, and transfer portal offers flood in. Does he stay at Nebraska to chase the Heisman and cement his legacy, or seek a fresh start to prove he's the nation's best? With countless options, Christian faces a tough choice. After a record-breaking 2,634-yard sophomore season at Nebraska and a national championship, Christian Blaze shocks the college football world by entering the transfer portal and committing to LSU to play under Coach Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge. Sporting a bold new look and brimming with confidence, Christian is determined to win the Heisman Trophy and chase a second national championship in what could be his final college season. With many of LSU's top offensive players gone to the NFL or transfer portal, Coach Kelly names Christian the offensive workhorse. LSU's state-of-the-art facilities and a flurry of NIL deals focused on health and durability help Christian address past durability concerns. Balancing academics to graduate early, he's ready to prove he's the best player in the nation. Christian Blaze's LSU debut against a formidable Miami team is electric. The crowd roars as he steps onto the field, the weight of expectation heavy, but his confidence unshaken. On LSU's very first offensive possession, Christian takes an inside handoff, watches a massive pancake block from his offensive line, heads back inside, catches a Miami defender flat-footed, and shifts to the outside. Turning on the Jets, he outruns 2 chasing defenders and sprints 60 yards to the house for his first touchdown as a Tiger. The stadium erupts, and Christian's Heisman campaign is off to a blazing start. Adjusting to LSU's pass-heavy offense, Christian embraces his role as both a runner and a receiver, sometimes acting as a decoy to open up the field. By the end of the first quarter, he's already nearing 100 yards, showcasing his vision and explosiveness. Coach Kelly leans heavily on Christian, giving him 17 carries by the third quarter to keep Miami's defense honest. Late in the game, he breaks off a 25-yard run, weaving through traffic to put LSU in scoring range before taking a seat. Absolute cinema. Christian finishes with 20 carries for 165 yards and a touchdown, cementing his place as LSU's offensive cornerstone in a thrilling win over Miami. Christian keeps the momentum rolling. Against FCS Midwest, Coach Kelly limits his touches to preserve durability for a deep playoff run, despite Christian's concerns about his Heisman chances. He supports his teammates in a blowout win, watching other backs rack up numbers. At Rice, Christian explodes like a cannonball, firing off a 73-yard touchdown run on 3rd and long, cutting inside, splitting defenders, and sprinting to silence the crowd. Later, he pauses for blocks, cuts inside, breaks a tackle, and races for a second touchdown, diving into the end zone. Christian Blaze is a Tiger unleashed, dominating in a LSU jersey and hunting the Heisman. In a rain-soaked Death Valley showdown against number 14 TCU, Christian thrives. He initiates contact, securing the ball, and jukes a defender up the middle to set up a score. At LSU's 37, he bursts outside, outrunning the defense for a touchdown, hitting 100 yards in the first half. He adds a second rushing touchdown, finishing with 225 yards and 2 scores. LSU wins a close one, and Christian's 678 yards through 4 games signal a historic pace. In a hostile Florida environment, LSU's quarterback struggles against the number 14 Gators crowd noise, limiting Christian's running lanes. He grinds out tough yards, then breaks through with a second quarter screen pass, spinning past the defender to set up a score. Down by 7, Christian finds a hole, blazing upfield to tie the game. Despite his efforts, LSU falls by 7, their first loss. Christian's performance lands him in the top 3 of the Heisman race. Christian Blaze unleashes a performance for the ages against Vanderbilt, cementing his status as a Heisman frontrunner. From the opening snap in Death Valley, he's a force of nature, gashing the Commodores' defense with relentless precision. Christian Blaze is a one-man wrecking crew. He finishes 27 carries for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns, crushing Vanderbilt 43-19 and sending his Heisman stock soaring. Social media buzzes with clips of his dominance, and analysts call it one of the best performances of the season. Off the field, he's learned from past academic missteps. He pulls an all-nighter in the library, poring over notes for a crucial test, and aces it, showcasing a maturity that's evolved since his Nebraska days. In a rainy, physical clash with Texas A&M, Christian proves he's built for the grind. The turf is a muddy mess, but he thrives in the elements, carrying the ball a career-high 34 times. Even though he didn't get in the end zone himself, he finishes with 157 yards, helping LSU secure a hard-fought 24-14 win. Christian then dominated South Carolina in a 35-6 rout, showcasing his explosive versatility. Christian Blaze is unstoppable in the SEC. He finishes with 234 yards and 3 touchdowns, cementing his status as a Heisman frontrunner. The electric atmosphere of Death Valley can't mask a challenge as Ole Miss comes out swinging, scoring on their opening drive. Even though Christian managed to help his offense get down the field, they settle for 3. Ole Miss offense keeps rolling, and their defense locks in on Christian, stacking the box to suffocate his runs. Down by 8 in the fourth quarter, with the game slipping away, Christian takes a screen pass, follows his blockers, cuts right to evade a defender, and sprints into the end zone for a touchdown, narrowing the gap. The Death Valley faithful go wild. Sensing a comeback, Coach Kelly opts not to go for 2, kicking the extra point instead. The LSU defense can't stop Ole Miss's relentless offense, and the Tigers fall by a point, dropping to 7-2 in a crushing blow to their playoff hopes. Christian's stat line is great, but the loss leaves him visibly frustrated on the sideline. Facing number 1 Alabama in Death Valley, LSU's playoff dreams hang on by a thread. Alabama's defense comes out swinging, intercepting LSU's quarterback twice in the first quarter, building a 14-point lead. Christian Blaze refuses to fold, taking a handoff up the middle and powering through a defender for a touchdown. Trailing by 14 once again, LSU's quarterback threw a costly interception, which led to a pick-6 touchdown. They tacked on another before halftime, and LSU trails big time. Christian was not willing to give up and tried to do everything in his power to keep this game in reach, but Alabama was just too much, and LSU loses their second straight game. With LSU likely out of the playoffs, Christian refuses to quit. In a rivalry game at Arkansas, he erupts for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns, showing off his speed and elusiveness all game long. Against Oklahoma, he takes a grueling 40 carries, scoring 2 touchdowns and silencing durability critics. Unfortunately, no playoffs for LSU, which leaves Christian extremely disappointed, but he will have one final bowl game later this year. The Heisman Trophy announcement arrives, and Christian's season, over 2,000 rushing yards, LSU's all-time season rushing and touchdown records, makes him undeniable. The committee agrees Christian Blaze is a 2028 Heisman Trophy winner. He also earns first-team All-SEC, the Maxwell Award, his second straight Doak Walker Award, and the Walter Camp Award. This trophy room is packed, fulfilling a lifelong goal. In what could be his final college game, Christian channels his Heisman swagger against Kennesaw State for the Las Vegas Bowl. He went on to show why he was this year's Heisman winner by rushing for 301 yards and 4 touchdowns. LSU dominates 41-7, and Christian cements his legacy, breaking LSU's single-game rushing record. Christian's junior year ends in triumph, with over 5,000 career rushing yards, the NCAA single-season rushing record, a national championship, a Heisman Trophy, and multiple LSU records. He's a college legend. With a GPA high enough to graduate early, Christian faces a final choice: return for a senior season at LSU or another program, or enter the NFL draft as a projected top 10 pick. Reflecting on his journey from a 2-star recruit in Toledo to a Heisman-winning legend, Christian makes his call. He's all in for the NFL, having conquered every college goal and more. It's time to chase his next dream, becoming an NFL Hall of Fame running back.